They're using the alphabet people in there.
Yes.
They're using the racist people, the white supremacists in there. They're backdropping it now to let the Black Lives Matter looks really bad. So we've got to be balanced in everything we say, just like what Galatians says, right? I don't mind discussing my issues. I do care what others think, because Jesus says, "He that winneth soul is wise." So we've got to apply wisdom to what we're doing at the same time, and a balance. You might disagree with me, but we have to put a balance at the same time.
Well, I think the complexity of the challenge that Seppo's talking about, and the wisdom that you bring into this is because there is a complexity here, right? The families, some black people and white people are married.
Yeah.
Some black people and Asian people are married.
Not many Asians are married blacks.
They don't want to.
I know.
They're more racist than white people.
I know one or two.
You might know one or two, but maybe
they don't.
Not your complexion.
Well, my brother.
Actually,
he must have been lucky. He must have been a smooth talker, man.
and there are one or two others I know. But why am I saying that? I'm saying that because if there is an audience out there listening, that audience is complex and mixed, and you've got to draw them in by not allowing us to be dividers, but to we are ultimately to be unifiers. But the thing is, you cannot be a unifier if you cover up the past that Seppo is referencing and that you invited us here to talk about. We cannot be unifiers unless we address those things first. Sometimes you talk about the root of it.
So we might have to not ignore, but those people that say, "Oh, you're also my black issues."
No, I'm not in that context.
We can't change it because of them. You know what I mean?
But in the context of what you began with Galatians, and you're saying that we're one people, we may be of different tribes, right? Yes, right. The way you're talking, Adrian, right? You're using wisdom there to deal with the whole problem as well. You have to apply wisdom. You can't not care. Your words, you have to be careful how you project your words, because people will take it the wrong way, like he just said about the angry black man. And this isn't the main thing people use. Oh, you're just an angry black man. I'm not lying. I'm angry when I saw Emmett Tibbet, when I see the lynching, and what I saw when America dropped crack in America, took away the schools, and the rappers now.
Make you angry, yeah.
The rappers now, how they use the rappers now, that they got rid of all the conscious rappers and they put the ghetto rappers there, and then the same people bought the prison pipeline. And it's just going down. No, honestly, it upsets me. But I know at the same time, I must stay focused. I must stay balanced, and I cannot hide the issues. Not like some guy. Oh, why are you talking about that? That's what I said to you. A lot of people say, "Why are you talking about it?" You have to talk about it because, as you said, Adrian, there's lots of young black guys who have the internet now, have the resources. They're looking at it, right? And Penn Inspiration says that nature needs an interpreter, right? Now, Satan's got his interpreter of the issues. So these issues that are going around need an interpreter, right? Because remember, when what's that guy called? There's a guy, I can't remember, he does, what's the guy that does Planet Earth? David Attenborough.
The one that's a space.
Yeah, the guy called David Attenborough. He said, he looked at the interpretation of an animal killing an animal and said there can't be no God. Now, his interpreter was Lucifer. So we got to make sure that when we're dealing with the issue, that it is God himself that is helping us to deal with these issues, because people would take it the wrong way. And obviously the people who don't like us in the first place, they would just say, you see? It's like me, I told you the other day, I went to, I was at a church, and I just said to the pastor, not out to the members, but I said, you're racist. He said, I'm going to get the police. And the police is the elders. And I said to him, remember, he just told me last week that he wrote a book on George Floyd. And I'm saying, you see, I'm trying to explain to him that you're the very person that's telling me you're using the George Floyd story for yourself.
Wow.
And now I'm in church now. He's telling me I'm going to get the police. So the police are the elders. So I'm not saying the literal police. Right. I'm not saying literal police, but he's going to get the elders, which are the police force, to come and remove them. I said, this is the same thing. So I'm saying we have to be wise how we're dealing with these issues.
Most definitely. I think, you mentioned earlier, Black Lives Matter, and you didn't support them because they were financially supported by the billionaire George Soros. But I think you mean, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, you don't support Black Lives Matter as an organisation, but you support the principle that Black Lives Matter. And that is the thing. The reality is that Black lives don't matter.
Yeah, it really is. But
all lives matter.
Yeah, but the thing is, just sticking up with the Black Lives Matter, the players that involved with Black Lives Matter
have their own agenda.
Are the Black Rocks, the Vanguards, the British royal family, the Clinton family, right? The Jews, right? So I'm saying to you, I understand the players from Revelation 18 who are the players. I understand the players from Revelation 17 who the players are. And obviously the 10 kings that give their power and strength, I understand, look, it's the merchantmen that empower them. So from a biblical perspective, I understand the scene that is happening. And I've got to be wise. A lot of people will not see and understand, okay, you know what? This Black Lives Matter is set up by the same merchantmen that run the 10 kings through the papal system, through the Jesuit organization. So we got to be wise in the way we approach these things, the way we deal with these things, because we can lose focus. Not everybody can focus around what's really happening, because the devil is about moving me and you off the reservation. And we need to stick on the reservation, understand what's happening on the reservation and who the players are on the reservation.
But this thing about the whitening of Jesus, or the Europeanizing of Jesus, I have a question. Was this something that happened by chance?
Not by chance.
Or was it something that just evolved? Or how did it happen? How did we get to a point where someone who is born in the Middle East, who runs away, or born wherever Bethlehem was at the time, who runs away from Herod, who's going to kill all the babies at the age of 2, and he gets a message from God through the father, Joseph, takes Mary and Jesus out of the area, takes him to Egypt, and in Egypt they don't stand out. They can hide in Egypt. How can they hide in Egypt if they are European, or if Jesus' parents look like Robert Powell? And so they came back. So then something happened since that time to this time, where this change happened in the appearance of Jesus.
I've got an answer for you.
Go ahead.
Exactly what you're saying. You're correcting what you're saying, but this is the answer what someone's going to tell you. Oh, back then they never had racism there, and whether you were black or whether you was white or Chinese, it didn't make no difference. But that's what they're going to come up with, that story.
But the truth is, the Romans were able to identify black people. They had a word in Greek called Ethiopian, which meant burnt face. So just like the Egyptians and the Cushites, the Ethiopians, they all came under that umbrella as Ethiopian or burnt face. The Jews, the Canaanites, people that lived in that region, were also clumped up together in that same category. And like Adrian eloquently said, Jesus hid amongst the Egyptians. So if Jesus is hiding amongst people that have a burnt face, what does that mean Jesus looked like?
But I'm just telling you.
You know.
I'm telling you.
You know what I
mean? Look, history has brought out that, listen, they won't tell you this part of history. Yeah, there is this black Roman general. How many black Roman generals were there? They're not telling you that. Right? They're hiding many things from you that you don't know.
Well, you mean there were 2 black queens of this country?
But listen, that's what I'm saying. Yes, but you're not allowed to talk about that.
Queen Charlotte
but what I'm saying,
the Moors?
Yeah, the Moors around before. But what I'm just trying to say to you, the way they were dressed, right? Some of the dressing like that. But what I'm saying to you, a lot of this history is hidden, and just like Rome goes round and removes the stuff about what happened in the Dark Ages, it's the same way these people have planned to remove the history. Like, for instance, even in slavery, how much inventions was there? There was so much inventions that the slaves made, but the slave owner took it. So what I'm saying today is that these things are wiped out, that you don't know where you're coming from to where you're going. So I'm saying wisdom has to be applied in explaining to people what's going on, and what it is they don't give you the chance to explain, because number one, the first thing they do is, oh, why do we have to know about that? Oh, that doesn't make no difference. But it does make a difference, because if you know where you're coming from,
It does make a difference, because you're seeing it now in the way the way that black people are still being treated in this so-called modern and civilized era. You know, whether you're talking about George Floyd or you're talking about schoolgirl Q, who was strip searched in the toilets when she was on her period. These things, and this new term that I'd recently heard of, the adultification of black children, where they're perceived as older than they are and they're treated as such. All of these things have their root in this area, the supreme being who does not look like us. And is that something that, for wishful thinking, we want to make Jesus black like us? Well, you look in Revelation chapter 4 and verse 3, it speaks about Jesus having skin like a sardine stone and the jardine stone. In Revelation chapter 1, you'll find it in there where it says feet like burnished bronze. And so you look at these things and you see what the colour was, and for the demographic in which we find Jesus at that time. And so then what happens? Why is it that all the paintings, the original paintings and the statues that came to Europe of the Madonna, Jesus and Mary, were black? The Black Madonna, it went out into Eastern Europe, it went out into Russia, it went out into all these places. Then you find in 1500 or something like that, this Pope. You keep talking about the papacy, this Pope Alexander VI, what he decided to do.
Based off Caesar Borgia, his son, who was a known homosexual.
To destroy all the pictures, all the known images of this dark-skinned Jesus and Mary, and commission Leonardo da Vinci to paint his son, Cesare Borgia, who makes that, incidentally, the most expensive painting in the world today.
He's the basis for all of these, iconic Jesus imagery. I mean, he's the basis of that.
Yeah, and so then all those pictures were destroyed, and Cesare Borgia becomes this picture of this image of Jesus, and it goes down through the ages. Now that is an agenda. Why is that done? So people argue, we're all different tribes, we like to make Jesus whatever we look like. In China, Jesus is Chinese. In Asia, he's
Africa, Jesus is white.
No,
in China, Jesus is Chinese. In Vietnam, he's Vietnamese. But in Africa, he's white. Oh, what happened there?
Jesus not white. Listen, all those other countries, Asians, they do their eyes and want to look like Europeans because of the same thing of the white Jesus. So people say, oh no, but the Chinese think they don't deal with Jesus, they deal with Buddha and such and such. But everybody follows the European. Look, let's be honest now, yeah? We're setting reservations still, yeah? We're making it current. The newscasters, right? What took place in Ukraine? What do they say? They look like us, we have to bring them over here. They're blonde, they're blue eyes. So this is having an effect that people don't understand about the blue and blonde, blue-eyed Jesus here. This is affecting the whole world. And if you go back to the time of even 1930s, 1940s, eugenics program. Eugenics program is always about wiping off those who don't look blonde and blue-eyed. Even Hitler said he's come up with his Aryan race. In America, Hitler.
Well, Aryan race isn't even the true Aryans, because the true Aryans are more Asian.
Yeah, exactly.
But they made their own. And I'm saying to you, when you link up what America was doing, remember Hitler was following America's eugenics program. All the eugenicists in the time of where Hitler, he was reading their books,
and he said he learnt the concentration camps from this country and during the Boer War and everything. But where did all of those come from? All of that must come from the idea that a European is looks like the supreme being. And that is if you've created the supreme being in your own image, as opposed to the real demographic and the area which it came from and the biblical description, then you're going to change the way people perceive that. And that's going to it's affected the way we have been treated as black people, and how we perceive ourselves and how white folk perceive us. So both need to be brought into that education, and we must not lose sight of, in Galatians 3:28, it says we're all one under Christ. So that anytime you try to bring this out, you're just trying to cause further separation. In other words, they're wanting us to not talk about those things. It's so good that now they're beginning to talk about them in schools. And black contribution to history, you mentioned earlier, you know how Edison and all these, where they get their inventions from black folk like Washington Carver, Jr. and all these others.
But let me say this. You said something earlier on, yeah? You said something like, Jesus never changed the establishment, but he moved a certain way. I can't remember how you said it. You said it in the earlier talk we had. I don't think personally, right, that even though we're discussing this, will help some, but a lot of people, they've already been indoctrinated. Just like I'm going to bring in like the mass run of the jabs, right? That you saw the people running and believing the government after these companies, anybody could have checked them out before everybody ran to go and get the thingy of what we're talking about. They were killing people a long time before. Johnson & Johnson targeted blacks in America. Right, Johnson & Johnson targeted blacks in America, yeah, by their products. And then when they couldn't sell it in America, where did they send to? They sent to Africa. And they're putting in not for American use.
That's why those 2 French doctors had to apologise.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you, this issue that we're talking about now, yeah, we will always get flack about it because people's minds are, I'm not saying imbalanced, but people have been indoctrinated. The algorithm, they've put it in there through TikTok, through Facebook, Meta. All these things are happening within the church setting, and also, I'm going to say this here. Remember this here. The church is a church that's set up for white supremacy, and I'll tell you why I said for. Look at Andrews 2019 came out on these issues and had to apologise, and the apology wasn't a proper apology. Look at the Trans-European Division 2019 before COVID came out. They were up for the same racist charges. So we're not going to change it.
I think it's gone before. Well, the thing that has affected society has been not so much the church, but Hollywood. Yeah. What I grew up in, because Seppo asked me what my first images were. I'm reflecting now, it wasn't just Jesus Christ Superstar, but Cleopatra.
Yes.
Liz Taylor.
Yes.
Moses.
Yes.
Charlton Heston. Yes. Jesus. Robert Powell. And Judas. Carl Anderson, the black man. So what happened? Hollywood has put this in our minds.
Hollywood's controlled by BlackRock, Vanguard, the same merchant man that dropped